Well, just a quick, say a quick intro here. So, heading into kind of the next phase here, as practices change a little bit, both in length and intensity and pads and so forth. So, it's a good opportunity for us this week to really work on our fundamentals and get used to, um, playing in more real football type conditions. So, looking forward to that. And um, again, a lot of work to do here. We just continue to build every day. We got a little something new that we need to add. Be ready to go here by hopefully the end of the week, and then and then it'll give us a few days next week to start to prepare for Washington. So that's really our schedule here. I feel like we got off to a players were in good condition. Got off to a decent start last week. And we'll just try to keep stacking days together and build it from there. Good.
We'll start with Ian Steele, followed by Phil Perry.
Morning, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Ian.
Good. Curious about Stephon Gilmore's rehab and if you think he'll be healthy enough to get back out onto the field anytime soon, maybe this week.
Yeah, let's keep taking it day by day. It's really pretty much the same situation with a lot of those players. So just see how each day goes, and if it improves, then we move ahead, and if it doesn't, then might have to pause until we can kind of get things ready to move forward. So that's that every day is its own day, and we'll just go day by day.
Next question, Phil Perry, followed by Tom Curran.
Hey, Bill, I want to ask about Matt Judon. I know for some of these guys that you guys acquired in the offseason that maybe you didn't get a ton of time with on the field in the spring, maybe a chance to learn a little bit more about them. But what have you learned about Matt specifically over the course of the last week or so since you had him at training camp practice here?
Yeah, I think Matthew's done a good job coming in, picking things up. He's a smart player, he's an instinctive player. He's done probably everything that we've asked him to do earlier in his career, just kind of putting it into the way it fits into our defense, or the translating terms and so forth. But I don't think we're doing too much that he hasn't done before. But we're early. It's it's a handful of days. Really, it's most all of it's been in the red area end of the spring, and then started training camp. So start working into some other situations, and we've hit a little bit on third down, but that'll pick up as we go as well. So we'll see. But glad we have him. Good player, has a lot of skill. Smart guy, instinctive, understands things, picks things up pretty easily and quickly. So it's been good.
Thanks, Phil.
You're welcome, Phil.
Next question, Tom Curran, followed by Ben Volen.
Hey, Bill. You mentioned stacking days and understanding that it's not quite real football yet. It did seem as if N'Keal Harry, over the first 4 days of camp, was a fairly consistent performer for you so far. What were your impressions of him over the first few days? And certainly everybody's aware of the requests that he had made. Do you foresee what he foresaw, that he could absolutely be a part of this football team this year?
I think N'Keal, like really all the other players that are out there, are working hard. They're improving. We're better than we were on Wednesday, which is a good thing. We just need to keep the arrow pointing up and stay on the field and continue to progress from a scheme standpoint as we do more things, and from a fundamental and technique standpoint for each individual player at his position. That's really the time of year we're at now. So, thought N'Keal's in good condition. He's working hard, and we'll just again keep taking it day by day, and as the competition unfolds, see how things stack up everywhere, not just with him, but all the way across the board. Sort of the same for everybody.
And I presume that, we mentioned to him the other day after the discussion that his agent launched, would he like to be here? And or could he envision himself being here? He said, absolutely. And I would imagine that might be the way you feel as well if he's performing at a particular level.
Yeah, Nikhil and I have talked about it. I think we had a good conversation. We have a good relationship, so I'm not going to get into all that.
Appreciate it, though. Thank you.
Looks like two more questions, Ben Volan and Bob Susie.
Morning, Bill. Two quick ones, if that's okay. First, Christian Barmore, what have you learned about him in the time you've had him so far?
Yeah, Christian's a very talented player. He's got a lot of physical skills, size, strength, quickness, so forth. He's obviously been in a good program, been well coached, and some of the things we're doing are similar to what he's done. There's some things that are a little bit different, but he's made a lot of progress. We'll see if that, how that goes when the pads come on and when the real bullets start flying. It's hard to evaluate the offensive and defensive lineman without any kind of contact, which is essentially the way it's been. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes for all of them when we get contact and blocking and defeat and blocks and pass rushing and pass protection and so forth. So we'll see.
Sure. And I wanted to ask you about training camp real quick. Obviously, a big part of camp for you guys is the bonding and togetherness. And last year, I think it was pretty difficult, from what I remember, for you guys to do a lot of just team bonding and building exercises. How's that going this year? Are you able to do more? How's that bonding element going?
Well, there's no comparison between last year and this year. This year we had, a lot of opportunity in the spring to do that. And so last year, this was kind of the first time some of us even met the players or the players met each other or anything. So we're a lot different than that. But, relative to other years prior to 20, it's part of the process. And, the more time we spend around each other and do things, on and off the field, formally and informally, that I'm sure that'll all happen. It's not something that, it's one day or one thing, but it's a cumulative effect, and I think that's happening. It is happening.
Final question, Bob Susie.
Bill, this is somewhat related to that one, and I guess Tom's as well. We often talk about the 1 year to second year jump for players, but I'm curious your impressions of the second to third year players now, guys who are in their third seasons, who didn't have as much time on the field last year in the spring. Of course, they didn't have any time on the field in the spring last year. Didn't have the off-season program, whereas now they've had the off-season program, and they were able to get on the field in the spring.
Yeah, well, I think, Bob, just the way you articulated it really makes those second to third year players, in a way, first to second year players because they didn't get the full first to second year experience. Certainly they learned from a season and going into another season, but as you pointed out, without the spring, without all the foundation laying that you do in the spring, both training, fundamentals, scheme installation, team, building and communication and so forth, and all those things they're a part of it too. And so yeah, there's a big jump from year 1 to year 2. The next biggest jump probably is year 2 to year 3. But when you look at a year like last year that wasn't a normal, year 2 to year 3, maybe there's an element of that first to second year jump as well that's also added in there. So yeah, I think that's a really, it's a good observation, and I think you can see that.
And another question with regards to communication, and in particular in the red area from a defensive point of view. I think you were asking about it from an offensive. The communication that's involved there. What have you seen from some of the newcomers in the defense? And I was thinking in particular of Raekwon McMillan. There have been times it looks like he's out there trying to direct the defense a bit. From that standpoint, being able to communicate and understanding.
Yeah, well, that's it's always important for the defense, but particularly important in the red area when obviously there's less space. Every yard's more important, and the offense does things. The game changes. It certainly there's not much of a vertical game down there. It now becomes a some version of a horizontal game, and making sure that you understand as a defense the transition and how things change down there, and not just from a yardage standpoint, but from an offensive scheme standpoint. That's all part of the defensive awareness, and it starts, of course, with the inside linebackers and the safeties. So Raycon's done a real good job. Been very impressed with his intelligence, his work ethic. He's locked in every day. He's very works extremely hard both on and off the field. That does a great job of trying to get it, just the way that it's supposed to be, the way that he's been taught. Takes all that very seriously and handles a lot of responsibility in there, both with the front, the coverage, and a lot of times the linebacker adjustments by formation and so forth. So, but that area of the field and the overall defensive communication down there is heightened. It's important everywhere, but it becomes even more, I would say, stressful and difficult down there because again it happens so fast. Just half a step down there and it's a touchdown. Half a step somewhere else might be a 8-yard gain or whatever. And you line up and go to the next down. But in the red area, it just happens so much quicker, and the offense tries to obviously put the defense in a stress situation, very quickly. When you're only talking about a couple of yards, it's more challenging.
Great, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.